Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
What a pass. Giddey underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Lu Dort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you live Sunday, April 2nd, as we enter the final week of the NBA season. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. Got Tayler Peterson with me.
I'm not sure how to feel. I'm very conflicted right now.
We've got Nick Crane.
I'll help you out, Taylor. There's no downside to this season ending in any direction. It's either a better pick or playoff experience.
Yeah, but
Now we've got Justin Peabody.
Hello, everybody.
We are coming to you on the heels of the Thunder's 118-128 loss against the Phoenix Suns. Lots to talk about as we recap last week, not last season.
Jacob's already thrown in the towel.
As we recap this past week, look forward to the final week of the regular season of basketball and some possible play-in scenarios. We also, gentlemen, over the weekend, started getting details of the new NBA collective bargaining agreement, the rules that will dictate team building for the next 7 years. Lots of little tidbits in there that I think will apply to the Thunder. But let's start with tonight. A 128-118 loss to the Phoenix Suns. That felt a little bit closer than that. Thunder got it down to one possession in the fourth quarter. Just could not get over the hump at the end. A little too much Kevin Durant. What are some takeaways you guys have from this one? Second to last game in the Paycom Center this season.
Josh
I'm going to start
Giddey.
us off.
Yeah, you go first. You go first. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My takeaway was going to be A for effort. This team looked like they were playing at a level that we had come to expect, which the last few games didn't always feel that way. There was long stretches against the Pacers, the Pistons, the Hornets, where this team just didn't look like the same team that we've watched for 75 games this year. They looked disengaged, especially on the defensive end. And tonight against the Suns, which are firmly in the hunt for an NBA title, they held their own. They got down by 16. They punched back. They made it a one-possession game, like you said, Jacob. The final score not really indicative of how it felt. I think Oklahoma City played really solid. Daignault had a quote post-game where he said something along the lines of what he told the team in the locker room. Like, if you play like you did tonight, the rest of the year, we're gonna be able to lay our heads on the pillow. We're gonna be fine with that. And like, the chips fall where they may. But if they put forth the effort that they did against the Suns tonight, they're going to be in good shape.
So Nick, I know you're about to jump into Giddey, but mine kind of goes along the same lines as Justin's here. So I'll go ahead and cut you off again. Sorry. But I think
Let's just
I
not let
something
Nick
out.
speak all night.
Yeah, let's just.
I'm down. Makes
let him,
my life
think
easy.
he's about to speak.
I'll just ping you guys in the chat when I have thoughts.
I think I tweeted something out like, this game is equally disappointing for a completely different reason. And the reason, and what I meant behind that is that the Thunder played the way, just to Justin's point, if the Thunder played the way they did tonight over the past week, they're probably 3-0 instead of 1-2 during that stretch. So that's what was really disappointing for me, because there were obviously multiple chances for the Thunder to win this game. There's multiple reasons they didn't, which we'll get into. But they had chances. They put themselves in position to play, really go toe to toe against one of the best teams in the entire league. And if they played like they did tonight, I think we're looking at a 3-0 stretch, and they're flirting with the Lakers and the Timberwolves instead of, a game up on the Mavericks right now.
So what you're saying is you're tweeting out cryptic stuff now that everyone's going to wonder about, and then you're going to explain yourself on the podcast post game.
That's how you get listeners, Nick.
That's what you're getting.
Taylor
Okay, got it.
Peterson.
Got it.
That's
Got
right.
it. My takeaway, like, not that he had the most incredible game he's ever had, but some of the little things that Josh showed tonight, I think further enhanced my thoughts over the past few weeks that he's improved a lot, but hasn't gotten the credit he deserved because of J-Dub being an incredible rookie and Shai making this All-NBA leap. Like Giddey's kind of this, he's between him and Dub, like one of those guys is the second best player on this team right now. You could argue which one, but I think most people would say Dub just because he's like the fun new guy and Giddey's like this second year. We've seen this before, the triple doubles, like it's just not the new hip thing. But if you go look at his numbers, like way more efficient, way more productive, just a much better player, which is incredible given he was damn near first team all rookie last year and he's made this much of a leap. But then even the little things like his handle is much more tight this year. His decision making is much better this year, even from earlier in the season. Like there was that sophomore slump conversation we were having 4 months ago where it was like Giddey's doing things that we've not seen from him before. Just come a long way. And tonight was another night where there was just little plays here and there where I was just like, man, we haven't talked about Giddey enough. We haven't given him enough praise this year because that dude legit has taken a great rookie campaign and has gotten a lot better.
I think that's fair. I want to go back to the top real quick to Justin's comment about the effort. Justin, you had the Friday night post-game podcast after they lost to Indiana. Really bad experience for me. I explicitly avoided all spoilers. I went to see the new Dungeons and Dragons movie Friday night. And so I avoided everything because I was going to come home and watch the game. And I had a few people texting me while I was watching the replay. I was like, no spoilers. And, I was laughing whenever Shai gets the rebound with the shoe in the hand and yada, yada, yada. And they were up 10 in the third quarter. And I was like, oh, nice. Like, we're going to pull this one out. Then they ended up losing. I'm like, why did all of you assholes let me rewatch this game? Why didn't somebody spoil it for me so I could have saved 2 hours of my life?
Yeah.
But Justin, I thought in that post-game podcast, you hit the nail on the head. They played 17 games in March. They were all over the place. It looked to me like a combination of tired legs and just things catching up to them, right? I wouldn't blame them if they went in thinking that they were going to win those games.
Yep.
And then played a little bit down to their competition. But I think I saw a stat the other day that like Giddey has played 500 more minutes this season than he did last season, and the season's not done yet.
Crazy.
Yep.
Shai's played like 500 more minutes. Like they're playing a ton of minutes.
Yep.
And the flat shots against Indiana, the slow rotations, that's tired legs. 100%. I thought tonight they came out incredibly disciplined on top of it and just worked their butts off for the entire game. I was really, really impressed. I thought this was maybe...
It makes me hopeful down the stretch because it slows down. Like, yes, there's only 4 games left, but they have multiple nights off in between games. 3 games left. Pardon. Today was number 4. 3 games left, but like it's stretched out over a week, which is like the least compressed stretch of schedule they've had in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that gives them some chance to recuperate heading into the play-in. Hopefully,
definitely. So I thought the effort tonight was awesome. I thought defensively, here's the thing, like, did they leave some guys open at the 3-point line tonight and give up some easy baskets? Yes, but I think the context was completely different. Indy, it was slow rotations and slow legs. Tonight, it was, I've got to rotate because Kevin Durant's in a one-on-one against Isaiah Joe, and someone's got to get over there to try to stop him from going to the basket.
Right.
And Devin Booker's open in the corner. Like, what are you going to do? I think that's fair.
Do I run to Booker or do I run to Ish Wainwright, who looks like a Geo dude on steroids?
Right. Now, to your point, Jacob, you talked about the intensity and how that, and kind of to what I was talking about earlier. Like, obviously, I think the intensity from the very beginning was apparent. And post game, Dagnall and Wiggins both talked about this. And literally the very first play, I don't know if you all noticed it, and Jacob, I know you were there. The Thunder trapped Booker immediately. And Dagnall said on trapping Booker on the opening tip, we trapped him last game and it was effective. It was just a quick little reminder to let him know we are coming. I love that quote. But then Wiggins also said, we started out with a trap off the jump ball. We wanted to let them know that we are here to compete. That is what they did. I saw a lot of the same, I think, in the first half, though. Missed 3-point shots, missed open shots and jumpers that I think were really critical when you look at the game as a whole. But again, that second half happens. And Thunder really come out swinging. They give their best punch, to use another Dignault-ism there that he mentioned post-game. And we saw them go on a little bit of run, like you all mentioned at the top of the podcast, and get it there to about 4 points. So I don't know. I still see a lot of that. The tired legs, the defensive rotations, the 3-point shots. But there obviously was a difference playing back at home and playing against a team like the Suns compared to what we saw the past 3 games.
They played really hard tonight. Nick, you talked about Josh. I think he's, especially like post All-Star break, he came out kind of slow after the All-Star break and then really just turned it on. Tonight, Phoenix's size, I thought, messed with him a little bit. There's 2 things I noticed a lot about Giddey. You can tell when size is bothering him whenever he starts going to the floater over being more physical. He was physical with guys like Campaign and Chris Paul and Devin Booker tonight. But then when KD or Biyombo or Ayton were on the back line, he tended to float shots up. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It really stuck out to me tonight on like 2 or 3 separate plays. If Giddey catches a pass and immediately goes into the shot, it goes in. And if Giddey catches the pass and kind of gets into the shot and then looks around and then stops and shoots and hesitates, it never goes in. And I don't know, just it's part of that rhythm thing. There were a few plays tonight where he would catch it with like Ayton playing 5 feet off of him and didn't shoot it immediately. I think that's maybe the next evolution for him.
Yep.
Is he's shooting the ball better. Now be more confident in it, and you got to fire that thing up. Like, you have to shoot that basketball.
Well, there's a huge difference between being a catch and shoot rhythm guy and a movement shooter. I've got a trivia question for you, and just given what I ask, I think it's going to be pretty obvious. So I'm gonna make it harder than I originally wanted to, as I talked about
That's what she said.
I want you guys to give me the post All-Star break 3-point shooting percentages for Josh Giddey and Isaiah Joe.
Ooh, Joe's is awful. It's like,
I bet Joe's like 32%, 31%.
I was going to say 32.
Justin, what do you got for Joe?
I'm gonna give him a little more. Just Price is Right. This thing 33.
34.2. So
Oh,
not
that's way better than I thought.
well, given he missed like what 12, 14 in a row. Like it's definitely
16.
down.
It got up to 16
in a row.
Ooh.
Agreed. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's Josh Giddey's 3-point percentage since
You
the
said
All-Star break?
you said Joe's was 34.
34.2.
Josh is 35.
I'm gonna say 32.
Taylor.
Let's get crazy and go 36.
Well, Jacob and Taylor split the difference, 35.5. That's before
Okay.
tonight, because I think NBA.com stats don't update till the morning. But regardless, the fact that Josh Giddey's shooting a better percentage than Isaiah
My guy was
Joe,
2 of 7 from 3 tonight. But
Yeesh.
I do love seeing him take those attempts.
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
completely honest,
it's
which
positive progression, like 32.7 on this season, something like that, which is like up 6 or 8%. You'll take that. Like if Josh finishes 32% from 3 this year,
tonight as well.
love it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of my
Interesting.
takeaways tonight, I think it'd be kind of 2 things wrapped up into one. The rotations are interesting. After the Charlotte game, the rotations have very clearly changed, and
Yeah.
they're playing the good players a lot and the developing players not as much. For instance, no Poku tonight at all. Jane gets 5 first half minutes, and that's it.
Yep.
Dario
Saric
Saric,
sees 14, was one of the first subs off the bench.
and I thought Saric played well tonight.
Yeah, he
So
did.
that was an interesting wrinkle because he's been out of the rotation. And then their, I don't know what the right word is, their commitment to playing small ball.
Yep.
I mean, they were comfortable putting J-Dub on Bismack Biyombo and DeAndre Ayton tonight, and then forcing the Suns to defend in space on the other end. I think that's what we're going to see from them. I mean, their best five are five guys that aren't bigs. And I think even if they play like a two big lineup in Minnesota in the play-in tournament, they're going to go small. So any of those three things, either the rotations and playing good guys more minutes now, the Dario Saric stuff, or the small ball stuff that you guys want to dive a little bit deeper on?
The Saric thing is the most confusing to me. Like, why tonight? Is it just because it's his former team and they felt like he might know something? Like,
Or did
why?
JRE show enough that you weren't comfortable with him anymore?
I mean, did it take until now to decide that?
I think
I personally decided that a long time ago.
for sure. My viewpoint on this, which is not the right viewpoint, it's just my viewpoint, is that the Thunder view JRE as a guy that's probably on this team longer term than Saric. And so he's got a longer leash and he's going to get more games than someone like you and I, Justin, would give him.
Yeah.
Like I'm same with you. I'm like, Jerry's not the guy this season, at least. Jerry's not the guy for what this team needs right now. But from a team building standpoint, from the Thunder standpoint, you could see where he would get 2, 3, 4 extra games to turn it around before you go back to Sarge.
Sure. That's
so
fair.
On the flip side of that, and to Jacob's point about tighter rotations, a guy I think who kind of falls in a similar boat due to the inconsistency that I still don't understand, but the one thing I keep coming back to is a very similar reason to what Nick just mentioned for JRE. I'm talking about Aaron Wiggins and his inconsistent playing time. And I think that's because I think, Mark and the organization want to get guys like Ousmane Dieng and Poku, whoever, more playing time and just kind of see what they have in them, try to develop them a little more. Where with Aaron Wiggins, you always know what you're getting night in, night out. So maybe that's a reason for those inconsistent minutes, especially in a game like against Charlotte. But tonight he comes in and, Jacob was talking about this, but he was the leading minutes getter. The player getting the most minutes off the bench with 22 minutes. And honestly, I think he probably could have gotten even more. I think that was only like 2 more minutes than Jay Will off the bench.
Yep.
And especially if Thunder's going to play small like that. And when you don't have Kenrich Williams, especially against a team like the Suns, I figured that Wiggins would get more burn just against KD defensively. I thought he did a fantastic job offensively as well. And just fits the flow of this offense so well, and is the reason that they're able to play kind of smaller at certain times, just like with J-Dub, for example. So kind of going back to your original point there, Jacob, I thought playing Aaron Wiggins like that kind of led to a lot of strengths for the Thunder, and the reason they were able to play like they were against the Suns tonight.
Yeah.
Tell me if you guys disagree with this. These last 3 games, the front court rotation, like the 4-5, in theory, it's like all positionless now. The 4-5, I would like to see both Jalen Williams. Disagree, agree, indifferent.
For what did you say? The rest of the
season?
The rest of the last 3 games of the regular season. The big minutes at the 4-5 I would like to see are both Jalen Williams.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a viable alternative.
Yeah.
I don't know that
we talked about Dario. Taylor mentioned
mentioned
Wiggins playing up a bit.
I just don't think that happens.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Like,
I'm with you.
I think I would like to see Dario more at the 5.
That's where my head's at. Like, that's what I'd like to see. I just don't.
But
see
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think there's the whole development aspect, right? And they don't mention that after again, going back to that Charlotte game, the post game comments that created so much buzz, good and bad. They aren't going to just abandon, they're just going to play Sarge for the sake of the plan here down the stretch and abandon Jay Will's potential development. At the same time, I also think, to your question, Nick, I would rather see more small ball over any of those alternatives, be it Sarge or Jay Will, just because I think that's so A kind of goes to what the Thunder are building towards, and B, I mean, go ahead and chalk this one up for the obligatory Chet comment on the podcast, but like you throw Chet into that position next season, I just think it's
We're
a
getting
little
the
more
comments
seamless.
soon in the chat. It's coming.
That's right. Amen. So I don't know. Those are just kind of my thoughts in regards to the Jay Will, but yeah, J Dub. I mean, I don't see why he shouldn't be on the floor.
Back to the trivia question. We talked about post All-Star break. Who is the leading 3-point shooter on this team post All-Star break?
Is it J-Dub?
Will.
Oh, you guys both have 1 and 2 right. But who's 1, who's 2?
J-Dub is number 1.
J-Dub is number 1 at 43.4% from beyond the arc.
He's like 50-40, no, 50-50-90, but
dude,
almost. It's insane.
Pre-All-Star break, we were saying if Jalen Williams can figure out a 3-point shot, this dude is going to be so good. And guess what?
Yeah.
Here it is.
That's awesome. I didn't realize it was quite that high.
Yeah.
What's J Will?
J Will is 36.5.
That's a pretty large gap between 1 and 2.
J Dub is the only guy shooting above 40% since the break by 4 to 5.
What's J Dub's attempts? Like 3 a game?
2.8.
I was thinking about that also, Jacob.
Yeah.
Like,
J Will
3-0 get more attempts. Although I know that shooting percentage will obviously go down with more attempts, but
Lu Dort 6.1. Good grief.
6.1.
Got to make it a Lu Dort mention here since you brought him up.
Go ahead.
I thought he was awesome defensively tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just up
as
in
always.
everybody's stuff. Like
As always.
They matched his minutes with Devin Booker for a while. Dude. Okay, I sat pretty close tonight. So like I could
nice flex.
Whenever you sit up in Loud City, it's hard to be able to tell like the size of players. Sat pretty close tonight. KD is stupid big. Like he's enormous. J-Dub is a big dude, and I'm not kidding you. That first half, the Suns were scoring down on my end of the court. And when KD would turn around and do that like little midi post-up move, I mean, his ass is in like J-Dub's chest. I mean, that's how short he, like, it was crazy. There were plays where I've seen the replay already, like while we've been recording here, and it looks like J-Dub has a good contest and KD just hits it over him. Yep. When you're close, like
nothing you can do.
J-Dub's arm isn't even up to Kevin's elbow.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
You know, there's a reason that he is maybe the most pure scorer to ever play the game of basketball.
Yeah.
It's because he's 7 feet tall and is smoother than your favorite point guard.
Yeah. He's insane. I thought whenever they switched Lu over to KD, like he made life tough for him. Like KD could still shoot over the top, but Lu didn't let him get to his really comfortable spots. Defensively, I thought Lu was awesome tonight.
They had to adjust and get KD in the corners on a couple of possessions because of what Lu was doing.
Flip side of the coin, I might finish better at the rim than Lu Dort does. I like, my God, man. The dude cannot. Now, some of it tonight was beneficial for the Thunder because other guys would get the rebound off a Lu Dort missed layup and get an and one. And so you got like the points and a free throw. But man, I don't know if I can tell you how many like easy looks at the rim he just absolutely smoked
again.
I mean, the dude's kind of got the yips.
It's bad.
It's bad. 100%.
It is.
You can't
bad.
pass to him on a fast break. Just don't even consider it. There was multiple times tonight on a fast break, and it's like they'd throw it to Dort, and it was just like, nope, you already knew. You already knew before it happened that it wasn't going in the basket.
Some of the half court sets where he like drives hard and tries to lay it up, and it's like a game of
doesn't even hit the rim.
Can I put this basketball through the backboard and shatter it? And it's just like, dude, again, not to take anything away from Lu, he was awesome defensively. When he's in the corner shooting wide open threes off other players driving kicks, it's typically pretty good. But man, the finishing is bad. Like bad.
Yeah.
It's
to Justin's point, you want other players driving instead of him. I did think though, especially early, when the Thunder were kind of struggling just to get spark in general, and even at the very beginning of the game when they were just kind of going toe to toe with the Phoenix Suns, I thought Dort's him attacking the offensive boards was huge. He was providing a big spark just with effort on that end of the floor. But you're right, the finishing, the scoring. I mean, again, 2 of 7 from 3, which I understand. I just said I liked Giddey's 2 of 7, not necessarily the efficiency, but him shooting 7 times from 3 compared to Lu shooting 7 times from 3.
Lou was
But 4 of 14.
Giddey 5 of 16. 9 of 30 between the two of them. Not good.
Not good. You need one of them to be more efficient.
It's kind of crazy. It's if Lou finishes layups, they maybe win this game.
True. Now, I know we're almost to the 30-minute mark. I think it would be we would be remiss if we got to the 30-minute mark and didn't mention probably the biggest thing in this game to me, which is the most obvious. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I feel like I maybe haven't talked about it enough on my post games and just this season because Shai continues to just, you almost expected at this point the leap that he's made. And it's almost felt so like, in the way that like you'd look up at the scoreboard when Kevin Durant was playing for the Thunder. And it's like, holy crap, he already has 30 points, but you didn't really notice it. It was quiet. It's almost the way that Shai, obviously this season's been a little more loud for Shai and his leap and ascension, but you just kind of expect it from Shai night in and night out. Shai went toe-to-toe with arguably the best offensive player in the league, maybe the history of the NBA, outscored him, had 39 points, did every single thing he could for this team tonight. I understand his defense maybe hasn't been at the same level that we've seen it this season.
I thought his defense was really good tonight.
But tonight, I agree, especially compared to the last 3 games. Yep. I thought Shai was just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not sure that there's any better way to end this game breakdown than talking about Shai and his superstar ascension.
He had that poke from behind that got the ball out, and then he went down and got absolutely hacked by Kevin Durant.
Oh my gosh, the refs. Maybe we should also mention the ref. Those were so bad.
But like that was a great example of like, I think the Thunder had turned the ball over or missed a shot right before that, but Shai saw the opportunity to poke the ball out from behind from Booker, and it set the Thunder up. That's the kind of stuff that Oklahoma City just wasn't doing enough of in the last 4 games that they did tonight. You saw it come back, and Shai was a big part of that. When he's locked in on defense, it helps set the tone. You've got to have everybody locked in, and it felt like he was playing at a higher click on both ends of the floor tonight.
Definitely. And I love that he wanted Devin Booker. Like, not to defend him. Whenever they came down on offense, he was looking for the switch. I mean, he cooked Devin like the rotisserie chicken Taylor's going to have to eat on the pod pretty soon. I mean, he went to work. I mean, Devin didn't stand a chance. And I tweeted it from the podcast account tonight. The true beef behind Devin Booker and Luka Doncic is who can complain to the refs more. Because Devin complains so much. So it's annoying.
And look, I don't think I hate blaming refs, and the refs have been terrible in comparison. I feel like the past 2 seasons, just because there's a new blood, if you want to call it that, coming into the NBA refereeing circle. But specifically tonight, I mean, there were just some egregious calls against OKC.
The Aaron Wiggins no call was the worst.
And the no calls, yes, that, and then like
as soon as they fouled the crap out of Wiggins and everyone booed and he didn't get the call, I sat there. I went to the game with my parents. And I said, you ready for the makeup call this next possession? Minimal contact on Shai, foul. Yeah. I was like, they're going to make this thing up. They knew they screwed up on that one.
Yep. But
bad.
That KD foul on Shai that they didn't call was just, that was a huge swing. I think it was you who tweeted that from the account, Jacob.
I think this is not talking crap on the guy because we all love him. But Dub's kind of turning into a bit of a complainer.
He does complain a lot.
A lot. Like the Luka Light comp we got from whoever's pod that was. He's got the complaints to go along with it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. He gets fired up after the big plays, the dunks, the big
Dub's
shots.
Right.
But
dog,
he should complain.
If Dub can be Luka Light, we'll take the complaining all damn day.
That's right.
If that's the byproduct. Cool.
It's really hard for me to watch Luka. Like, it just gets under my skin, man. And I'm sure Dallas fans don't care.
Well, 15-second rant. You can count me on it. All the things Russell Westbrook got obliterated for on his upcoming as a superstar is the same crap that Luka does now. And it's only a matter of time until he's old enough that it actually matters. Done.
13 seconds. Look at you.
I totally
did
agree,
mention
Nick.
that in our Slack the other day, Nick. And
he has the excuse because he's young. He's like, He's 24 years old, so it's like he hasn't won anything, but he's also 24. But yeah, when he's 28 or 29 and still hasn't won anything,
If that doesn't
and is
change,
still complaining and is still doing triple doubles without it, like, what's the difference?
Yep.
None.
Any other thoughts on tonight's game, guys?
All I was going to say was you should know how Mavs fans feel about Luka, because it's probably how you felt about Russ.
Exactly.
That's fair. That's very
exactly
fair.
right.
I was just going to say, in regards to tonight, I just hope that the Thunder, so they don't play at home again until their season finale a week from today. Like Justin mentioned, that means the games are stretched out, which is great, but we see this team almost look completely different on the road versus away. We talked about Lou specifically, talked about Isaiah Joe specifically, but this team as a whole, especially post All-Star break, really seems to struggle on the road. So I just hope they are able to bring that same intensity they did tonight in these next 2 away games before finishing the season at home next Sunday.
And Chase Center, going to be tough, as always. Utah, the altitude, always tricky. Like, definitely not great scenarios by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to be tested for sure.
Definitely.
But the Mavs have a lot of work to do.
Dubs lost tonight, 2-point game, to a Jokic-less Denver Nuggets. So take that as you will. The Dubs are now only a half game up on the LA Clippers. No, I think they're tied with the LA Clippers now after tonight. And that would put them 2.5 back of the 4 seed. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they approach that game Tuesday night. We got a lot to talk about that's not this game. So let's get to that on the other side of this break. All right, gentlemen. A lot more to talk about. Let's jump into the play-in race. It's kind of what everybody's been focused on. As of right now, the Thunder are still in 10th. The Dallas Mavericks lost today. The Minnesota Timberwolves lost today. So OKC is 1 game behind 9. They are 1 game ahead of 11. The Jazz losing today, I think, kind of just puts them out of reach. They nearly beat the Brooklyn Nets. It was a 1-point game to end it. But I think the Jazz maybe like a little too far out now. A game and a half to make up over the next 3 is a tall task. The Thunder, 1 game up on Dallas. They have the tiebreaker. So if Dallas ties OKC, OKC still gets in. Same thing with OKC and Minnesota. If OKC can tie the Timberwolves, then the Minnesota Timberwolves still get the higher seeding. The Thunder would have to outright pass the Timberwolves. Where do you see this thing ending? And I was about to give you an hour count, but I don't know how many hours are in 7 days. I was told there would be no math. As Justin tried to, count games the other night on the podcast?
Dude, yes.
That was pretty funny. And then somebody commented that in the chat.
That was A-Man.
That was great.
A-Man with the deep cut. I was told
168 hours for what it's worth.
How much?
168 in 7 days.
Look at Nick. What are you, a mathematician, Nick?
No,
Or he's got a
Chat
calculator.
GPT. No, I'm kidding. That's just one of those weird. It's one of those weird like numbers that are in my head. Like when you think 7 days in a week, it's just like 1 6. It just I don't know.
How many ounces are in a cup, in a gallon?
64.
64?
I was gonna say, isn't that 60?
That's not math. That's just memorization.
What's 10 times 42?
4,200.
Just
Maybe
add zero.
420. 420. Sorry. Now you're making the actual. Now you're making me do actual. I told you what I told you was memorization. When you get to actual math, that's where I'm not there.
All right. Well, and however many minutes or hours Nick just quoted me.
Don't make him do minutes.
Can't do that.
What does this thing look like? In however many hours it was, 164,
168. In 168 hours, I think it looks exactly
in a
like
week.
it does now.
When we're doing this podcast a week from tonight.
Yep.
Justin, you say it looks
OKC
exactly
10.
like it does now?
OKC 10, Minnesota 9, Dallas 11. I think it stays put.
I agree.
Thunder
actually.
have to make up 2 games in the final 3 on Minnesota. Dallas has to do the same to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I don't trust Dallas
That's
to
a
do
lot.
that. I don't trust Oklahoma City to do that with their schedule. I think it stays put.
Yeah,
I agree.
I wish I could.
The Wolves have the
Come in with
Nets,
something
Spurs,
unique,
and
but-
Timberwolves. Sorry, of course. The Nets, Spurs and
It's
Pelicans.
a win-win, isn't it?
Plot
There you go.
twist.
Nets, Spurs, and Pelicans are who is left for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah. You're not making
They
up 2
haven't been
games
playing
on that
good,
schedule.
but even if they went 1-2, I believe OKC would have to go undefeated. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. And same scenario for Mavs and Thunder. So if Oklahoma City goes 1-2, Mavs have to go 3-0.
I feel pretty good about the Thunder going at least 1-2, and the Mavs schedule.
Knock
They
on
have the
wood.
Kings, the Bulls, the Spurs. Kings just lost to the Spurs. The Kings are probably going to come in wanting to prove something Tuesday night.
Yep.
I mean, if the Kings beat the Mavericks Tuesday, I think that kind of shuts the door. I mean, it's not official,
Yep.
but I feel pretty confident.
Yep.
Feels pretty good. Agreed.
So are we all in agreement that it's Mavs are out and then Thunder versus Minnesota in Minneapolis for the first game of hopefully 2 playing games?
I think so. That's a fun matchup.
Any chance anybody else slides down to that 9 spot? I mean, New Orleans and Minnesota do have to play each other.
That'll be a big game, potentially. That could be fun.
Final game of the season. That could be for who's 8 and who's 9, who's got to
could be
only
real
win
fun.
1 out of 2, and who's got to win 2 straight.
Where's Nick going to fly? New Orleans or Minneapolis?
A man on the move.
I hope Nick doesn't cancel the flights early and then end up canceling the wrong one.
You're probably going to speak that into existence now.
Or he waits till all those games are done and then he brain farts and accidentally clicks X on the wrong one.
I have to do math, and I do 4,200 instead of 420, and I canceled it wrong.
Goes a little too far.
Of those 2 teams, it's looking like it's going to be Minnesota or New Orleans. Most likely Minnesota, maybe New Orleans. Do you guys have a preference on who the Thunder go play? Like, they would be visiting that team. They'll be on the road. Do you have a preference on who they play against?
I'd rather play Minnesota than the Pelicans. I know the Pelicans
interesting.
struggled recently, but I don't know. Watching the Timberwolves this season, I think the Thunder have a better chance against them than they would against the Pelicans.
And Zion's for sure out. Is that what we're assuming?
That's what I'm assuming.
Even if he's not, I mean, he's not going to be in shape.
He can
You
still
act like
drop. He can drop 26 out of shape. I'm not
Like,
He's been doing it for 3 years.
right.
he's never been in shape.
I think I
ugh.
want the Pelicans.
I might be with Justin here.
Okay,
As much as I hate Rudy Gobert,
Yeah, I couldn't
size,
live with
man,
Rudy
the
Gobert knocking
matchup.
this team out.
does this change your mind? The Pelicans this season are 25-13 at home. The Timberwolves are 21-19.
not
No,
really.
doesn't-
2 games.
It's just one
Not really.
game. Just one game.
Even though the Thunder are 15-24 on the road. I don't know. I just
Eamon brings up a good point in the chat. Ingram has been very, very good.
That's kind of my thought. I mean, it feels like they're running on momentum right now, where the Timberwolves have been.
Throw J-Dub on him.
Granted,
We'll
they've
be all
been playing
right.
Better. That's right.
I mean, BI scares the crap out of me, but so does Ant. It's not like this.
Exactly.
It's not this Cat Gobert crap that scares me. It's like it's the Ant and the BI. Like, BI is way underrated.
He's really good.
He's so good.
I think it's the both that makes me pick the Pelicans over the Timberwolves. Like, it's Cat and Gobert matchup down low, giving Oklahoma City trouble, plus
With
versus Pelicans, it's BI and a lot of other dudes that are solid. but
Okay.
I don't think the matchup problems down low are going to be as apparent. Like, I think Oklahoma City could force New Orleans to play small. I don't know if that strategy works against Minnesota.
Okay.
The offensive rebounding against Minnesota also worries me because I think the Thunder, like I said earlier, are committed to the small ball. And I mean, like, would I be fascinated in J-Dub guarding Rudy Gobert, Dort guarding Cat, Aaron Wiggins guarding Anthony Edwards, and you just space them out on the other end of the floor? Like, that's fascinating. But I think Minnesota would just eat offensive rebounds, and that kind of terrifies me.
So
I keep forgetting
stat, Taylor, real quick. I'm always love playing devil's advocate. Recency, like, it's all about getting hot at the right time. The Pelicans are 7-3 in their last 10. The Timberwolves are 4-6. Still doesn't move the needle for you.
I do keep forgetting that Conley's on the Timberwolves now because you just don't see anything about him. You're just looking at box scores. You're like, oh yeah, there's another 12 and 7 assists for
Naz Reid's also
Conley.
out.
Reid's out.
Naz Reid's good too.
I'm just trying to convince. I agree with you guys, but I'm trying to like give you the counter argument to see if it
Totally.
No, that's fair.
I think the counter argument to the counter argument again is like it's one game. Like the trends, if this was a series, maybe that helps sway me. It's one game.
That's
fair. And I think in one game I'm looking at strictly matchups. The trends, the last 10, the home court, I don't know that any of that factors as much as like dudes versus dudes. And I think I'd rather be against the Pelicans dudes.
I do think playing home court, which in this scenario, you'd be in Minnesota or in New Orleans, doesn't matter for the Thunder. That is a huge ass deal.
Totally.
Like talking about like who wins the game holistically. Like if the Thunder could get to 9, which we've already discussed is like tough, given your 2 games back.
You basically have to win out. Yeah.
That is significant because that's a packed house, sold out.
Fans basically game 7.
Yeah, fans that haven't been there in years are buying tickets. It's a big deal.
Yep.
And so this kind of goes against me picking against the Timberwolves. And that's not to say, I mean, the Timberwolves have had great home crowds really ever since their playing game here. What was that, 2 seasons ago now? The Pat Bev jumping on the table and all that craziness. But the Pelicans, not the best home crowds in New Orleans. So maybe that goes kind of against, maybe that kind of goes against my point of picking against the Pelicans.
For what it's worth, on Basketball Reference's playoff probability page, I don't know if this is updated after tonight. Because it's their current is the Oklahoma City Thunder currently 38-40?
41.
Okay, then it hasn't updated yet. Before tonight, they had the Thunder at a 55% chance at the 10 seed, a 10% chance at the 9 seed, 4% chance at 7, or that's 8, I'm sorry, and 28% chance of not getting in. They had the Mavericks at 70% chance of not getting in. So Basketball Reference playoff probability really favors the Thunder. The website playoffstatus.com has OKC at 38-41. They have the Thunder with a 62% chance at 10, 7% chance at 9, 30% chance at not getting in at all. They have the Mavericks at a 75% chance at not getting in at all.
Yeah.
It's feeling pretty set in stone to me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to jinx it. But yeah, same. It definitely is trending that way. And it's a bummer because honestly, as we're talking about matchups, the one I wanted the most was the Mavericks.
Same. Oh, dude.
Mavs Thunder for the play-in would have been a blast.
Agreed.
Of these 3 teams, I think that's probably who I pick.
Yeah.
If everything stays static, stays as it is, 7 days we come back, we're still looking at 7 Lakers, which, hey, Lakers are only a half game behind the Clippers, and they play each other later this week.
Uh-huh.
If the Clippers are in the play-in tournament,
the dream is still alive, Jacob.
The fanfic erotica is still available. Thunder win their play-in game against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
They're in
The
the
Clippers
crypt.
lose against the Lakers, and it's Thunder Clippers. Thunder win, and they get
In
the
the crypt.
Clippers lottery pick.
Game winner, SGA over Paul George.
Magic.
Paul George isn't playing, buddy.
Oh yeah, good point.
Still,
Why?
the dream
Yeah.
scenario is still in play. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that the 4 stay the same. Los Angeles at 7, New Orleans at 8, Timberwolves at 9, Thunder at 10. And let's pretend that the Thunder do go up to Minnesota and win. Who do you think wins between a Lakers-Pelicans matchup?
That's also a very fun one. But I'm still going Lakers.
I'm
They
going
have the
Lakers
star
as
power.
well.
They have the experience. They're playing really, really well right now. We've talked a lot
Yep.
about momentum. I've got to go Lakers there.
6
Same.
of the last 7, they're playing well.
Yep.
So that would be Thunder Lakers in LA. Or sorry, no. That would be
Oof.
Thunder Pelicans.
Yep.
Oh, see, I like that.
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
If you
So
had to
it
give
could,
a
it could be
percentage,
Timberwolves and Pelicans.
Mhm.
Your 2
Yeah.
matchups to get in.
if you had to give a percentage chance, if you knew that that was going to be the outcome, you have to play Minnesota, and if you win, you have to play New Orleans and win. What percentage chance do you give the Thunder at ending up at seed number 8 and in the NBA playoffs?
I'd say 40, just because
Whoa.
those are 2
Okay.
realistic wins. But like that, winning 2 on the road back to back like that, and 2 high intensity games feels pretty unlikely.
Let me
But
ask
the
you
reason
this.
I'll go as high as 40 is just like,
Well,
They're 38% on the road this year. So you're giving them a better chance than they've been all year against
2%.
2 teams that have.
I want to get percentage chance first. So Taylor's going 40. Justin?
Well, not to do more math on the pod, but 38% winning percentage on the road. You're expecting them to do 2 in a row, which I
Right.
think has to cut the percentage in
Yep.
half, which lowers it to like 19%.
I was going to say 20.
true.
I would put it at like 15%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think it's
Agreed.
a tall task.
I was
That's
going to go
not-
30.
Well, okay. I not to say they can't do it. I just think it's a big ask. There's a reason the 10th seed has the hardest path to make
Yeah,
it in.
for
And
sure.
I think that would play out.
Folks in the chat, let us know what your percentage would be. Here's my question then. So Justin's going 15% because he's a hater. Nick is at 20.
Statistician, thank you.
30 for me, 40 for Taylor.
Optimist.
In both those games, doesn't the Thunder have the best player in a
Yeah, I
single
mean,
game?
Chet's going to be
matchup?
amazing in the play-in.
Shut up.
This guy.
I mean, don't the Thunder have the best player against the
He-
Timberwolves
yeah.
and the best player against the Pelicans?
Some could argue that the Thunder had the best player tonight against Kevin Durant and the Suns.
Wow. Taylor's on that homerism tonight.
No kidding.
39 points.
That Miller
35
Lite he's
points.
drinking is blue and orange.
I don't know. In a single game elimination, winner take all, I'm kind of leaning towards the team that's got the best player on the court.
I
Nick,
like
do you,
it.
do you disagree on the best player thing, Nick?
Look at the Dallas Mavericks. I know they play no defense, but
That's
that
fair.
theory only goes so far.
They also have Kyrie Irving.
Who is also like, I know we love to trash on him for a lot of reasons.
He's a big game dude. He'll
He
show
is
up in the big
he
games.
is like I think he's still the NBA's leading fourth quarter scorer. He had 20 in the first half tonight in a loss. Like the best
I think
player
at
only
this
goes
point,
so far.
Kyrie brings more problems to your team than positives to your team.
Also, I'll
I
throw this at you because you love this scenario and you've talked about it a lot. I am like Shai could and probably will be the best player in most play-in matchups. I am more interested, and I think it's more impactful regarding Lu Dort and what he does, because look at the statistics. When Lu Dort is on, which is mostly at home,
Yep.
Thunder are hard to beat. Like when he shoots 50, 55% plus, hard to beat. When he scores 22 points plus, almost impossible to beat. But when he's on the road, that rarely happens. I think it's less about Shai in the play-in, more about the other guys. So while I agree best player on the floor always gives you a good advantage, it still comes down to the other guys.
I think that's fair. And my pushback would be, especially in a 7-game series, you have to have other guys show up. But if Shai just comes out and scores 45 and wins you a game, like, I don't give a shit what the other guys do. Just keep your head above water.
I mean, he scored what? I mean, he damn near scores 45 every night.
Yeah.
I know.
like literally.
Yep.
I don't know. I would go with the team that's got the best player on the court. I would feel pretty good about having Shai in a matchup against Minnesota or New Orleans. It'd be fascinating.
They could also say it's one game. Let's shut this guy down, make everybody else beat us.
That's fair.
And that's
And who steps up to be player number 2 for OKC?
Agreed.
I mean, everybody hopes it's Dub. But I mean, is that where guys like Dub or even Giddey don't have that opportunity because the Lu Dorts are thinking that should be them and they're taking those shot attempts away?
The Isaiah Joe progression to the mean, folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it that Dignot said post game? He was like, "I'm just sitting in the grass. I'm not trying to overcoach. I'm just sitting in the grass waiting for him to catch fire again." Essentially,
If you have a playing game and Shai produces what he averages, and Dub produces what he averages, and Giddey produces what he averages, it comes down to Lu and Isaiah. If Isaiah has been what he's been the past week, and Lu plays like road Lu Dort, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
If they play better, then you're probably hard to beat.
it's a great point.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, you're still probably in the final possession of a game.
And for our listeners, if and when the Thunder make the play-in, we're going to have a preview show with a guest from the opposing team the Thunder will be playing.
And we're going to shit talk that guest the entire time.
No. But it's going to be interesting because we cover this team and we know them in and out, home, road, trends, means, all that kind of stuff. We know less about the Timberwolves.
Right.
We know less about the Pelicans. It's easy to talk about like, oh yeah, BI has been great, but like there's always more to it.
Totally.
And I'm super excited for us getting back to those kind of pods because those are always the most fun.
Yeah.
And I think that the plan is going to be so much win or lose. The fact that the Thunder are here, you can't complain.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Even if they don't make it,
Save it for next week's pod.
Even
Nick.
if they don't make the play-in, you cannot look at this season. Like, tell me this. Since Paul George left, this rivals the CP year. Do you put this more fun or less fun? Like, I consider it more fun.
I think more fun considering what is in the short-term future.
Right.
Well, in long-term future.
The CP team,
you knew it was coming.
We knew it was a one-off.
Yeah. Right.
And so the CP year ended with the COVID and the bubble. So I'd like to not think about that very frequently.
Even those late years with Russ and PG and Melo, like we were excited, but it was did you really think that team was winning a championship?
No. First round. Yeah.
We probably talked about championship because we love to be homers on the pod and optimistic and like we are right now.
That had to be the goal. You have Russ and PG. Yeah. There is no other goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree, but I can guarantee next Sunday night, this show, the Thunder missed the play-in. Those vibes are not going to be there, Nick.
For sure.
Yeah. Those good vibes of like, man, well, we had a great run. No.
But it'll be a fun draft pod.
Furious.
The real play-in was experience gained along the way.
Will it be a fun draft pod when we're talking about pick number 12?
No.
It's what you said. It's what you would have said last year if they didn't have the number 2 pick and they got Dub at 12. So,
you know what's going to be a really fun draft show? When we're talking about what pick the Clippers pick ends up being for us when we knock them out of the play-in.
Yeah.
That's going to be the
riding
fun
that
draft.
train.
No,
show.
what's going to be fun is when this team is the 4th seed in the West next year and still gets the 6th pick from the Rockets. And you're
Mhm.
like, this team went to the Western Conference Finals and we're still going to get one of the best players in this
lotto
upcoming
pick,
class. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we make a second round exit, but we add Cody Williams to the team.
Right. Right.
The brothers are back, and the merch opportunities are
Yes.
endless.
Yes.
Oh boy.
All right, last thing to talk about before we get out of here. Over the weekend, it came out that the league and the Players Association have agreed to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement that should go into place July 1, the next fiscal year of the NBA. It is a 7-year agreement, so it should take us to the year 2030, which I don't like to think about.
That's not a real year.
Yeah, we'll probably all be dead by then. But some of the rules, we don't know everything that's changed. But some of the stuff that has come out so far, as far as team building, is very, very fascinating. I wanted to touch on some of them and just give our thoughts related to the OKC Thunder. Okay? So here is what we got. From Woj, sources indicate the NBA and the Players Association agreed to eliminate restrictions limiting teams to have 2 designated supermax players. He goes on to use the Cavs as an example. For those of you who aren't as deep into CBA stuff, each team could only have 2 supermax guys. You couldn't trade and add a third. You couldn't sign a third guy to a supermax. This is going to be pretty impactful for OKC down the line, I think. We can talk about that one. Next, Shams. And the new CBA will create a new second-round pick exception that can be used so teams will no longer have to dip into their mid-level exception to sign second-rounders. First-round picks get guaranteed contracts. Second-rounders, you essentially like signing them in free agency with part of your exception.
Yep.
No longer the case. From Woj, there will be new spending and trading opportunities for teams at the middle and lower spectrum of payrolls, including larger trade exceptions and new and expanded exceptions to the salary cap, like the mid-level, the taxpayer mid-level, the room exception, etc. Shams says that they have locked in salary cap smoothing of up to 10% increases through the new CBA, avoiding the cap spike that famously allowed Kevin Durant to go to the Golden State Warriors. Last one I have here, veteran extension limits will increase from 120% to 140%. There's a lot of other stuff as well, but
A third 2-way contract on rosters.
yeah, that's a big one. Third 2-way contract. If they're putting in, there's a salary cap, there's a tax limit, and then now there's a limit above the tax. And if you exceed that limit above the tax, you can't sign buyout guys. You can't send out money in trades. You can't take in more salary than you send out in trades. Really limits
There's only
teams.
so far you can trade out first round picks.
Yeah. It really limits teams that spend the most money. That would affect like 3 teams, the Clippers, the Warriors, and I forget who the third one
I think
was.
the Bucks.
The Bucks. It would have prevented trades like KD to Phoenix or Harden to Brooklyn or couple of years ago, that Portland trade with the Los Angeles Clippers that landed them Robert Covington and who's the little guard I'm forgetting there?
Oh, that's what I was trying to think as well. The 6-man guy for Clippers. Where am I going blank?
Terrence Mann?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
But who they acquired from the Trailblazers?
Oh, wait.
The Trailblazers traded Gary Trent Jr. for him, and then they traded this guy down to the Clippers. What's his name?
Going blank on it also. Start
Wait.
with an N. Why do I want to say that?
Norman Powell.
Pal. Thank you, Norman.
Oh,
So the
that was
Norm-
like
the
2
Nor-
years ago.
Yeah, but that trade would not have been able to go through
Okay,
under
okay.
these
Right.
new rules.
That was an example
So-
they gave.
All of that considered, how does this impact the Oklahoma City Thunder? Oh, Meek Leak also brings up a good point. double draft isn't
Yeah,
happening.
it's
They're
sad.
not the
Yep.
players. Apparently, nobody has interest in
Yeah.
removing the restrictions.
Yeah.
Teams don't want to go scout high school
It's
games.
so risky.
Players don't want 17-year-olds in the league pushing out vets. I can see it from both sides.
I mean,
no double draft will happen.
Think about if you could have guys come straight out of high school. We're looking at the in the last draft, 2022, where Dub and Chet were taken. You're looking at Derek Lively, number 1 player in this class. A year in college, he's like a late first rounder. Khalil Ware
Tariq Whitehead
was the
high
number
up there, his
7 pick.
teammate.
Dariq Whitehead was like 2 or 3. Nick Smith Jr. was top
Injuries.
5. And it's like these guys that
injuries.
would have been like a top 5 pick, even like Jaden Hardy the year before, are guys that are not getting taken there. So it's just so risky. So I get that. My big takeaway, holistically, all the things you just mentioned, it balances the league. And when you go on Twitter and look at the people complaining, it's the big
market
markets that are pissed, small markets that are happy, and everyone's saying this is the end. This is the beginning of the end for the NBA. I disagree. I think it's balancing the league as it should be, and it's very evident when you see who's complaining and who's happy, and then the teams in the middle are like, whatever, like nothing really changes, which is what the CBA is supposed to do.
True. And Nick, I don't even think that's necessarily small market versus big market, although I understand that obviously the bigger markets are the ones paying the most money right now, so therefore they're the ones that are maybe penalized the most due to this.
Think about controlling your own guys and the max contract slots, and like that's where it benefits the small markets big time.
Correct. But even more than that, it benefits a well-disciplined organization who is already doing the small things, like you mentioned, Nick, going to high school gyms, scouting these players well off in advance, and then bringing in these players, identifying them, being able to bring them into your organization, developing them long term. So, like, yes, I'm trying to remember who I was talking about this with today, but the Thunder probably can't afford to sign 4 different guys to Supermax extensions, but this does allow them the opportunity to. You know, they've been saving up to be able to sign a Chet, Shai, and a J-Dub. Just use 3 examples to the Supermax. That's really big for a team like OKC. Even if they are small market, even if it may be hard for them to afford long-term, to also be able to build up a roster around those guys, gives them the opportunity to be able to do so, where in the past they wouldn't be able to. And that's where you would see a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or a player of that caliber potentially be wooed by other teams, right? The bigger markets, to your point, Nick.
Have we heard? So here's the thing about all this stuff is that we have not had a PDF document of the CBA dropped in our lap. It's been mostly reporting, and there's always more to the story. Like Shams dropped the cannabis, sports betting, all that kind of stuff. Then 16 hours later, it was like, but here's the ramifications. Like if you're investing in sports betting, it's got to be on this side of the business, not the actual betting.
Yep.
There's all these ramifications. We haven't seen everything yet. Have we heard anything about trading a player and still having the ability to retain? So like Josh Giddey, if the Thunder were to do a consolidation trade for a star, be it Jaylen Brown, be it whoever, you have to assume a young player and picks are going in the package. So let's say Josh Giddey is the guy that ultimately gets the Thunder another star. Is Josh Giddey then able to be signed to that Supermax on his second team? Or is it just the team that drafted him? Have we got that clarity yet?
I don't think so.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
That's the kind of stuff that's like, I don't know if we know enough yet to really say,
if you're
man, this is the end of the league or this is great.
If you're obtaining his bird rights, I would think so, right?
See, I don't know.
That's why they use the Cavs example, because the Cavs traded for Donovan Mitchell,
but they traded for Donovan Mitchell when he was already on his Supermax.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But so with Giddey, the ability to trade him and the team that acquires him have that exception versus not having that exception makes his trade value in this hypothetical consolidation for a star trade look a lot different. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
And
that's a big difference for small versus large markets, right? Like that at face value, that the increasing Supermax players from 2 to 3 is a huge deal for small markets. But when it first came out, my first thought was like, it seems really good, but it feels like one of those things that in like 5 years can be like, oh, but there was this loophole that we all missed.
Right.
That now Golden State has 7 max players on their team because they did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
light years and whatnot.
Yeah.
My big takeaway from it was the Thunder. We've all been very adamant that they're going to wait for the new CBA rules before they decide to do anything. I think this is a good thing for OKC, considering where they are at right now.
Yeah.
You have one Supermax guy.
Yep.
Under the old CBA, you were only going to be able to max out one other person. Josh is the first one up. So if you somehow get Josh to sign for like a non-max, which we don't know what that's going to look like. We all have opinions. We don't know what it look like. Then the next up is Dub and Chet. And how do you go into that room and say one of you is getting a max and one of you isn't?
Yeah.
Because if not, we got to trade one of you. It's a very good thing for OKC in that sense.
Agreed. It eliminates James
the
Harden
free
situation.
agency stuff, like not being able to go out and get free agents if you're over the tax. Best free agent the Thunder's ever signed is Nerlens Noel.
Isaiah Joe, thank you very much.
Was he signed or was he picked up off of waivers?
He was signed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he definitely is. He definitely is.
It's still, I'm being funny,
but
to your
they're
point,
not going to go out and sign some big name free agent. It also limits you in trades. But Sam Vecini had a tweet this weekend that said all this stuff that's come out really makes you feel like teams are going to have to be really good about their draft picks.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to be able to sign these veteran minimum contracts to buy out guys and make these advantageous trades, you replenish your talent with draft picks.
Yep.
Well, the Thunder got 1 million of them.
Yeah.
Right. It also made me think, and I'm interested in your guys' thought on this. If you can't really make big time trades and do big things once you're over the tax limit, the Thunder are about 3 years away from there. Because once Shai's already on his max. Once you sign Josh and then you sign Chet and Dub, you're kind of already at that threshold. So does that kind of speed up the timeline a little bit as far as if they're going to make some sort of big all-in move, it's coming in the next couple of years before they are limited by these new rules and being over the tax?
I think one reference point, though, when we talk about like the number of max guys and these super max guys, like this is top of the head math. I think Shai's last year is 38 million. Maybe someone can look that up and confirm. Karl Anthony Towns last year is 62 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just because we're talking about like you can have 3 max guys and like max doesn't always equal max depending on when you signed it and if you hit the escalator. Shai did not hit the escalator. It's not apples to apples. Like 62 mil in 2027 versus 38 mil in 2027 is a lot, like damn near double, right? So like, I think the Thunder are in a really, really good spot. I'll have to say.
So now we're getting into the cap smoothing, which is another thing was introduced apparently in this integrate to in this new CBA. So as the new media rights that we keep talking about, that's the other piece of this is the new media rights and at BRI basketball or
related income.
Yeah, related income that the players and the owners split.
It's like OPEX, Taylor. Put that in your world.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, now I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Nick. Regardless, I think that's another aspect as well. So to your point, okay, there we go. You're mentioning Shai's final year of his contract, right? Like that's going to look even more minimal as those revenue numbers go up. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Definitely. Like the J-Dub possible max, the Chet possible max is going to be
still going to be pretty good value.
Oh, another thing that's really good for OKC. In the past, if you weren't signing a guy to a max contract, like maximum money, you could only sign them for up to 4 years. That has changed. You can now sign them for up to 5.
Yep.
that is huge for small
awesome.
markets.
That's awesome.
So
Also,
if you
coming
don't,
in clutch as always.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's Shai.
if you
Yep.
don't max Josh, you can still get him on a 5-year deal, which is massive.
Fantastic. That's the other one I was thinking of. And then also, again, I just mentioned this here a little bit ago, but the third two-way contract, not nearly as significant as the previous provisions that we've been talking about, but a team like the Thunder who have found the Aaron Wiggins, the Lu Dorts, I mean, even the Lindy Waters at this point, via two-way signings, the ability to be able to sign another player at a two-way, especially with the amount of draft picks that the Thunder have coming up, first and second rounders, that just creates additional roster opportunities to bring those guys in, and to continue to take gambles on guys who aren't working out, or you want to bring somebody new in. Like, I continue to think, again, it probably isn't going to happen, but like the Jamius Ramsey's playing for the OKC Blue, like if you had a third two-way spot, you could probably bring him in.
Yeah.
And, during this stretch here over the past week where Lindy Waters is hurt, you have a Jamius Ramsey playing, for example, who can give you some spot minutes off the bench and some scoring off the bench. Again, just more and more roster building opportunities and development and more optionality.
When they're negotiating all this shit between the NBA PA and the NBA, I think that was probably like the easiest negotiation, was like the 5th year, because from the player standpoint, you want guaranteed. Like, the NBA is not the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL, it's like this quarterback gets $150 million, but 86 is guaranteed. So if you tear your ACL,
and you can convert like however much you want each season
signing
to a signing
bonus.
It's
The
ridiculous.
NFL is kind of bullshit, to be honest. But in the NBA, it's all guaranteed. Like, we've seen Chandler Parsons. Like, you don't have to play and you're getting your money regardless.
Right.
So from a player standpoint, the 5th year is great because I'm not a max player, but I'm guaranteed I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars for 5 years, whether I flare out or not.
Mm-hmm.
From the team perspective, Jalen Brunson's probably a really good example where he's like, 23, 24. He signed a 4-year, $102 million deal. So you're getting him through age 29. If you have the 5th year now, you give him that same amount, the AVV, over the 5th year. Now you have a guy till once he's done with his rookie deal, you're getting him through age 30, which most guys, barring a superstar like KD, who's still balling the hell out at, what is he, 34? Most NBA players, like through 30 is what you want. So that really puts you in a spot where it's a win-win. The player gets longer-term guaranteed money, but the team gets you on a lower rate through your prime, because you're not going to have to negotiate again when you're 27 in the thick of it and try to get into the 32, 33 years old when your money's not going to be worth it. That's a win-win. I love that for the league.
Totally. My last 2 things before we get out of here. Number one, I think we maybe got some wires crossed a little bit because there's so much information talking about the designated max players that you can only have 2. It's not that they increased it to 3. It's that it's unlimited now. And I think we kind of got our wires crossed with that and the two-way guys. So it's not like you have to pick between already having Shai and then Giddey plus Chet plus Dub. You can max all of them if you want.
Right.
The second thing, Nick, you mentioned people are been saying, and I've seen this a lot, oh, this is the start of the downfall of the league. I don't think the Players Association and the league itself went in and said, how can we screw this up? The people who think it's the downfall of the league are the people who are also tweeting, well, I hope Klay Thompson's going to enjoy being in Charlotte. Like, what this does is it brings parity. And I don't know what ratings are, but I bet people have been watching a lot more NBA basketball with play-in games and with this crazy tight Western Conference race, because parity is fun and it gets more people bought in.
Yep.
We don't know who the hell is going to win the finals this year. There's like 5 teams that could do it. And previous, half a decade, it's been, it's going to be the Warriors or whoever LeBron.
Or one of those
for.
teams in the East. Yeah.
Now there's like so much parity to it that I think a lot of fans are enjoying it more, and this helps that parity.
Yeah. I mean, the
and I also want to see Klay Thompson play in Charlotte.
They love to crap on new ideas. The play-in was kind of crapped on early on. Like,
Oh
who
yeah,
ca-
the play-in's
not-
incredible.
we
these
even talked about the
these
mid-season
9, 10
tournament.
seeds, like they're not going to make it anyways. Who cares? But like, if the play-in didn't exist, we would already be talking about
lottery.
We wouldn't even be talking about the lottery. The Thunder wouldn't have even been competitive since February.
Mm-hmm. Totally
Straight
agree.
up.
Yep.
Straight up.
Totally agree. We also get an in-season tournament. People have been crapping on that. I think it's gonna be fun.
It'd be so sick. And they're like $500,000. These guys, like, they go to the bathroom and make that much. But like,
Tell
these
that to
guys,
Lindy Waters.
they're in,
No kidding.
but they're
That
also
is
in it for
literally
way
game
more than
changing.
money. Like, this is the
Right.
chance to like go in there and just like
Also,
have fun and ball out.
and the big thing here, well, obviously outside of the main thing that the league wants is additional revenue opportunities. But for the teams and the players, these games go towards your 82
Yeah.
regular season schedule.
And you
So,
can actually
yes,
play an 83rd
there will be 2 teams that have to play 83
83.
games, but
83.
still okay.
It
I
could
mean,
be a
you know,
thing.
like yeah,
It's
that's
gonna be
true.
pretty
If
cool.
you win
I
that,
think it's
that
gonna be
could
fun.
That could be a real
Thunder win the
advantage.
play-in tournament this current season, and they're up there with the Timberwolves and the Lakers to come back full circle.
Hey.
Because they have an additional game.
First team to win a summer league chip, a play-in chip, and an
And the
NBA chip.
finals.
OKC Thunder.
The OK
2023, 2024. Go put your bets down in Vegas. Sponsored by Kawhi Leonard now, folks.
And I think worst case, it does count towards your regular season record. So it's not going to be like an all-star weekend where it's like LeBron's going to go to the Caribbean it's not going to happen. But I think it could be a cool opportunity where maybe you do play some young guys and get them
that's a
like
good point.
exposure to a higher level of consequence,
your-
for lack of a better term, because it is that way because it's a tournament, but also if you lose, it's just like losing to the Hornets on a Tuesday. Like it's really just one game, but it feels bigger.
But if you get to those late rounds in that championship, like
for sure,
competition takes over. And
Yeah.
what a great experience for a young team like a Orlando Magic or an Oklahoma City Thunder.
And
Well, and this is a
we
rabbit
see
hole.
we see tiebreakers be a big thing. We've talked about a couple tonight. If you end up going to play a team in the semifinals,
Yeah, that's fascinating. How does that impact tiebreakers? Like that is
we've seen
really
like the
interesting.
Lakers with the Thunder or the Thunder with the Mavs. We're gonna look. All it takes is year one. A team makes the play-in because they beat a team in the piece of crap midseason tournament. In year 2 of the midseason tournament, things change.
Last thought of the midseason tournament. We really got to get out of here. We've been podcasting for a long time.
So much to talk about.
What happens if if the Thunder play the New York Knicks in the midseason tournament, but they were scheduled to also play the New York Knicks in February? Like, how does that affect the schedule moving forward? I think that'll be fascinating.
I don't think it does.
Well, you got to play whoever wins on the other side of the bracket of you.
That's the extra game.
Oh, touche.
Yeah, which is fun.
Nick actually wrote the CBA.
No, hell no.
Awesome.
I can't do math.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Uncontested. We hope you enjoyed your time. We had a lot of people in the chat. Really appreciate that. We're not going to get to your questions tonight. I also rhymed there. I didn't mean to do that. We're not going to have time to get to questions tonight because we talked for too long. But thank you guys so much. Before we get out of here, we got to hit really quick predictions for the final week of the season. Justin, Tuesday, the Thunder are at the Warriors, who are 32-8 at home. They have a wide range of outcomes for the playoffs. Thunder versus Dubs, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Justin, what do you got?
L.
Taylor?
I don't feel good about it. L.
Nick?
Yeah, it's a loss.
Thursday, the Thunder go to the Utah Jazz, who are probably out of play-in contention. They were playing their guys today. It'll be interesting to see if they stop playing their guys at some point. Nick, what happens out in Salt Lake?
I think it's a win. There were some weird tweets from the Jazz. If you could look at their like actual account on Twitter, it was almost like a packing up the season kind of thing. Maybe I misread it, but I could have sworn their tweet was like, Lauri Markkanen finishes the season with this, this, and
weird.
this. And I was like, finishes the
Interesting.
season.
Taylor, What happened
Hey,
in Salt Lake?
Taylor Horton Tucker, another career night against OKC. No, I'm going to go ahead and go with the win.
Justin.
Give me a win.
Nice. Finally, the Thunder closed out the regular season at home, Easter Sunday, 2:30 p.m. after you've hunted your eggs and stuffed yourself full of ham.
2:30. Ugh.
Justin,
New
what
games are
happens
tough.
at the Paycom for the last game of the season?
Thunder go out on a high note and beat the Grizz.
Taylor?
Maybe the pessimist in me after this past week, but I kind of think this one's an L. I'm just feeling 1 and 2 this week.
Nick?
Yeah, it's an L. I think this is going to be one of those weird down
You
to the
should
wire.
win.
The Thunder had every chance to make it in, and it comes down to some weird like tiebreaker.
Kenneth Lofton Jr. goes
God.
off for 25 points. And
Seriously.
I'm with Justin. I'm going 2-1 with wins against the Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know who Memphis is going to play, and I just want to beat Memphis because I don't like them.
My rationale is we broke down this final 12 games into 3 sections. They went 2-2 in the hard section. They went 2-2 in the easy section. They're going to go 2-2 in the final section.
I love it. You guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. We will be back with you Tuesday night late night after the Thunder take on the Golden State Warriors. This guy, that way, Nick Crane,
There it is.
will be post-game on that one. Maybe if the Thunder win, I'll join you, Nick. Then Thursday against the Jazz, that would be our own Taylor Peterson right up here. And then next Sunday is one not to miss, as we will break down the Memphis Grizzlies game, talk all things play-in, and then next week, play-in basketball. It almost feels like a certainty now. Knock
Maybe.
on wood.
Hopefully that's what
Settle
I'm saying.
down.
We will be talking all of that with you guys. We're not going anywhere. Make
Either
sure
play-in
you-
primer or draft primer.
There you go. Make sure to sub to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media channels. Drop us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you listen to. Or you could drop a 3-star and say better than nothing. That also works. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again soon. And as always, Thunder up.